know where the treats at.
Is this the passing of the torch, right? Is this what this signifies?
It comes down to that front office and what they feel is most important.
The champ is here. We've touched down from a higher plane. Why you made it here?
We always look forward to that week because it was always intense.
You know that we ain't coming back. We about to.
The man, the myth, the legend, Dante Hall. My favorite player growing up was Dante Hall. I love you guys, Joe, but Dante was my guy.
Get to dashing because he was done on the warfare.
This episode of Chief Concerns is brought to you by betonline.ag. Hey there, Marcus Dash here from Chief Concerns. Just want to comment and say BetOnline is your number one source for all your sports betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for football, baseball, boxing, golf, and much more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts. Hey there, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Monday Morning Tight End. I'm Marcus Dash here with legendary Chiefs tight end Jason Dunn. JD, how we doing, brother?
What's going on, Marcus? What's happening, brother? How you doing? Monday morning, Monday night, whatever you want to call it. It's a Monday, right? Monday fun day. So
Monday fun day, exactly. Yes, but especially in the off season, our Mondays are going to be very fun, filled with examining our different position groups. But this Monday, we got NFL Combine this week. It's a big week for incoming NFL players. It's a huge week for guys who may not make it to the league, guys who may go to the CFL, guys who go to the USFL, or what is it called, UFL now, the United Football League.
UFL, yeah.
So it's a big week for a lot of those guys who may position themselves to play professionally, whatever league that may be. I mean, we've talked about your combine. You did a combine, or you did a pro day, or you did both. You did both.
Yeah, your boy was one of the top tight ends coming out in college ball, Marcus. So they had to have me at the combine.
Well, I don't know if you'd opt out. Like all these guys are opting out now.
Nah, man. You know what? So during my time, so I played in the Senior Bowl, and I may be the only one that went both ways for the Senior Bowl, actually. So I played actually defensive end and tight end. Just opened my stock up. I did a little bit in college too. But I went to the combine, and we had one guy that opted out, just one, and that was oh man, I just had his name. Shoot, he was a tight end from Ohio State, Ricky Dudley. I don't know how to get Rick's name, Slick Rick, man. So Ricky Dudley, man, actually opted out of doing everything because he was actually playing basketball at the time. So he still came to the combine, answered all the questions, but he opted out to do any of the lifting, any of the running. And so, he actually was the first tight end taken. It was between me and him in the draft. And so they ended up taking Ricky. He went to the Raiders. And so Marco Battaglia was next, and I was third. I was third tight end taken in the draft that year, and I was second-round pick for the Eagles. So had one of the most athletic showings of a tight end. I think I still got records in the combine for what I performed out there. So I know I was in 90 percentile on a lot of my stuff. Right.
That's right. I remember you and I went through your numbers and stuff and saw what percentile you were in.
Yeah, man. Bad boy. So yeah.
This week, so obviously night before the draft, that's one of those moments where you're kind of very, very, all these guys are very nervous. Would you say night before combine probably more nerve-wracking than the night before NFL draft, just because it's you got to perform, whereas the draft's all right, I put everything out on the table. Now it's whoever picks me. What, as far as nerves go for a player, what's probably more nerve-wracking?
Draft. If you're kind of a high draft pick, around those areas, that may be a little bit more Combine is just performance, right? That's what you're just trying to perform well. And so it's just like playing a game. You're going to get nervous before a game, before you get out there and show what you can do. And so the competition, because it's different from just playing, get in a game, you're actually going and competing against guys, your peers in your same group, okay, measuring yourself against everybody else, right? And other teams are seeing it. And so they're sitting there saying, I'm going to pick this guy because of this. I'm going to pick this guy because of that. Jason Dunn performs better than all the other guys here. How is he going to help our team? And so this is the thing is, it's such a great look to measure yourself against your guys. Like I said, at your position, it's one of the ultimate things that you could possibly do. These guys are opting out now because they don't want to suck at their what's the name at the combine, and they want to wait till the pro day. Well, part of the things in pro day that you may be able to get is you got your own area, you got your own quarterback running, throwing to you. You may not. Some of these guys might opt out because they may not necessarily be ready physically. They may be coming off like a little small injury that they don't want to either have them exam at that moment. You know what I'm saying? Have an examination of it. And actually show something's wrong with you. So there's different things that guys can do. Push out for pro day. So you saying pro day may be somewhere in March is where you got to another month that you have to get yourself ready. But that's kind of what you get into, man. So a lot of guys don't get invited to the combine. That's the thing about it. I mean, they're looking only for the elite guys to be there at the combine. So.
What's weird to me, which I'm seeing a lot more this year than you have in past years, and I was watching one of the shows, and they were a lot of these draft guys were getting pissed off about it, but it was the amount of quarterbacks who are opting to not throw at the combine, which is interesting. Obviously, guys want to be able to throw their own facilities and stuff, but like, you kind of, it's throwing. It's not like I don't know, like. I feel like that's the one thing these guys, these scouts want to see, and these GMs want to see is your quarterbacks throw at these things. So it's interesting that these guys are opting not to throw.
Well, that's the thing. They'll be exposed against all the other guys they're going against, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now you determine if this guy's arm and velocity is the same as, like, let's say, a Caleb Williams, right? Or Drake May out there in North Carolina. You know what I mean? So you actually get to go against a guy to see what he can actually do. And so if I know I have deficiencies in particular areas, well, I don't want to expose myself. I don't want to show that to everybody, right? Because they make a team determine, like, well, shoot, this kid ain't got that type of spin on the ball like we think.
Mm-hmm.
So you can look at film all you want to, but seeing a guy with your eyes, absolutely. So what team players try to do, and obviously agents try to do is, hey, we want to put the ball on our court. Hey, if you want to watch Caleb Williams, you go to him, you see what he can do then. All right. You come to us, you can see what he can do against us in our offense, and our throws, things that we do. So I think with quarterbacks, if you put that type of money, that type of bread in it, that's a red flag to me as a scout. I'm just telling you that. And look, and I've been part of that whole process going to the combine. The coaches are looking at what they're determining, what they're writing down. So I've sat up in the stands watching these guys perform and what we're looking for in our position, in other positions too. You run a 40, yeah, great. 40 time for a skill player, excellent. Okay. Mm-hmm. What does that translate when we run routes? When you have a different quarterback throwing to you as opposed to another guy throwing to you? How do you adjust? How do you respond to those things? So all those things are important. They're very important. And they try to hide this stuff, man. It's just a different way that you could control everything that you can, possibly the narrative, if you will.
Well, plus the one thing I would say if I was a quarterback getting invited to this or whatever, receiver, quarterback, running back, any of the skill players is like, sure, most of the colleges, if you cover a big school and generally, like even the small schools, that you do your pro days with bigger schools. So like if I mess up with this one, I got another shot to do that. Whereas I'm only limiting myself just to my pro day, and let's say I'm off that day, like that's kind of you're kind of limiting yourself in that respect. So that would be one thing why if I was one of these skill players going, is I wouldn't want to at least not, limit myself to just one workout in front of these coaches.
Yeah. So if you're doing a workout and that is very they make sure that it is conditioned especially for you. Okay, you have a guy that's running the workout, whereas at the combine they have somebody that's running the drills and stuff, for the combine.
Yeah.
You go to school, hey man, it's tailored for me. What I want, what my best throws are, what I want to do. Now they can request that I throw another route or run a different route, right? As opposed to tight ends, they can request that I do particular things on the board, but more so, I'm putting the ball in my court to control the things I want to control. Now, here's the thing. You're right. If I screw up in my own pro day, then it hurts me. Okay. But at least I know I'm not in front of 20 other quarterbacks I'm going against.
Yeah.
You'll screw up in front of everybody, right? Yeah, you might have a bad day, but you're going against 20 guys. Hey, man, I'm telling you, that will tell you a lot about a guy. A lot. And teams frown on that. They do. They frown upon those things. And I see it. I think Wendy said he's not doing anything. Yeah. Well, start seeing that, he may not be as Mahomes-like as you think. Okay. He may not have the best ball as you believe, right? His leadership capacity may not be up there in the top echelon like you think it is against these other guys. When you walk around and on the what's the name of the program for the school, they got you standing 6'3". They come to the combine, you actually 6 foot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
6 foot and a half. So, hey, look, when you get to your college, you can walk on your tiptoes. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I remember last year's combine. Obviously, you take off your clothes and your shoes and stuff. I remember what's his name, Bryce Young, at the combine wore the was no bull shoes, and like it had the sole was like this thick on it to make him look taller. Well, because the optics, especially with your quarterback, you want your guy to be looking tall. But yeah, he was wearing the no bull shoes. That the soles were like thick; they were thick and tall. And I was like, oh, okay, like this. The optics of that.
But they get you down in your skivvies. I don't care. You got to take your shoes off when they measure you.
Yeah.
That's how we had, man, funny stories, man, from the combine. The guys would talk about all the time. But I remember standing up there, man, and here I am in my grays, taking my shirt off, and all those guys were looking at me like, oh yeah, that's what we're doing. Yeah,
like a piece of meat.
Yeah, like a piece of meat. I was just sitting over there like, like the whole Elder God's Lord, just giving it all. Like, he's like, oh yeah. Turn around, they're looking at your back, your hand size, all of that, man. They measure it all. They getting it all in there. They getting it all in there.
When you were at the Senior Bowl, you said you did DN and you were tight end. At what point did you make the determination like I'm going in as a tight end, or was it?
I was going in as a tight end anyway.
Okay.
I came out as the top tight end in the nation.
Right.
Schools. So I just was showing a little bit of my versatility.
Okay.
That was it. I didn't think it would hurt me any, but the more you can show athletically what you can do, especially like from EKU, and I was just like Senior Bowl, shoot, let me see if I can get me some sacks playing defensive end. And so, I think about it, shoot, I might have came back in the league as a defensive end. I could have came in and got me a couple sacks. I'm telling you.
Right now, I bet you could, yeah. With the way they got these guys just rushing the passer now, they have like shooting guards and rushing the passer now.
Brother, I'm letting you know right now. If I switched over to defensive end, I came back in the league. You cannot tell me that there's no way that I would not get at least 6 to 8 sacks that year. At least, I'm telling you, I know I would. Shoot, I find it mind-boggling that guys are not up there with 12 to 15 every year. Mm-hmm. I'm serious. I'm thinking, hell, I'm being modest with mine. I'm thinking I would have got at least 8 to 10.
Yeah.
If I'm rushing the passer that many times, come on, man. You ain't keeping me away from that quarterback. You know what I mean? It's not doing it.
You're looking at Fred Clark's contract from the last few years, like, damn, this dude was only getting 5 sacks.
Blows me away. Blows my mind.
So I looked at the Ricky Dudley thing. I found a funny article here. It's an article, I guess, the Raiders scout who was impressed by Ricky Dudley at the combine. Bill Myers has been a coach for 25 years and has heard nearly every excuse an athlete can devise. But nobody had ever tried the stone cold truth on him until Ricky Dudley did during the February combine. And Myers, already smitten with Dudley's abilities, was charmed all the more by Dudley's brass. We were at the combine and he was supposed to bench press, Myers said. He said, "I'm not lifting. I'm not prepared." I said, "What do you mean you're not prepared? How can you not be prepared?" And he said, "I just played in the East-West Shrine game, and I'm not prepared to do my best. You can come out to Ohio State in March, and I'll be prepared." It's funny. That's funny. That's like a unique thing now, then. But now it's like, oh, he opted to just do his pro day. But then it was like, oh, man, he's going to do his just pro day. It's just funny how things have changed so much.
Tony told me one time, Gonzalez told me that when he was supposed to lift, and he opted out of lifting. I think he didn't lift or run. I think he ran routes maybe. I think it was probably it. But so he goes over to the strength coach, right? You know, when you lift, you know, they all got you on the platform and you're sitting up there, you know, Jason Dunn from East Kentucky University, 6'4", tight end. You know, you come in, they announce who you are, right? Tony goes up, he's talking to the guys like, "Hey, man, listen, like, you know, I'm not going to lift. You know, I'm not lifting today." So, you know, he turns and looks at Tony. He's like, "What? Like, what do you mean?" Tony's like, "Nah, I can't lift today, man. You know, I've been playing basketball." So he says the strength coach turns to all the scouts and, you know, the GMs. Tony Gonzalez, California tight end, is not lifting because he's playing basketball. Like, that's made sense. Tony tells a story, man. It's so funny how he tells it. Like, you know, the guy's just like, "Yeah, he's elected to play basketball. So he decided not to lift today." So Tony's like, "Hey, man, thanks." Like, you know.
That's so funny. You know, these football coaches, like, no matter what, it's in middle school, high school, whatever, like any sport outside of football is seen as like, oh, yeah, you're soft, you're playing something else.
Yeah.
That's funny. Tony's last year in college, Cal made to the March Madness, right? So he was playing up until like the end.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Cal made it. They was, I don't know if were they Sweet 16 that year? He was right up there.
That was 97?
97, yes.
Yeah, they had a good record that year. Yeah, looking here. That'd be 96, 97? Yeah, 96, 97. Schedule. Yeah, man. Yeah, they won round 1, round 2. Yeah, they made it to Sweet 16. They lost. They played North Carolina in the Sweet 16 and lost.
Okay.
It beat Princeton, beat Villanova. Then, you play. They kept it close too, 63-57 to North Carolina, Sweet 16. I mean, that's.
Yeah, I remember that year. I remember. Shoot, them jokers making it. Didn't remember.
Do you remember? Obviously, you became friends and tight with Tony after the fact, but do you remember like watching that? Like, oh, this guy's gonna play. This guy's supposed to be one of the top tight ends coming out, and he's playing basketball at like Cal. Did you have like any preconceived like, oh, like I wonder how this guy's gonna pan out? Just because I mean, like, you know, that's seeing like two sport athlete guys, and it wasn't common to see at this point at that stage.
You know, first put me on to Tony was John Gruden talking about it. He said, "Man, you heard this Gonzalez kid is coming out, tight end Jason?" I said, "Plays basketball." I said, "Yeah, I haven't seen any football stuff. Never, you know, and watched. Like, I've never been really a big college football fan, but I watched him in the Sweet 16. I watched him play, you know, basketball. I said, man, he's athletic." He's like, "Yeah, man, he's gonna be pretty good." I said, "Yeah, he looks like it, you know." So, but that was pretty much about it. You know, you just kind of know it every year. But you know, like that was my rookie year. Like 96 was my rookie year. Next year was, you know, his year. And so I think I was thinking more about my stuff as opposed to like who was coming in. I was like, I'm here to be a star. That's where I was at. So
like locked in on your own thing, not thinking about other guys' careers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. That's a good team. I don't know if this team won it, but that North Carolina team, Anton Jameson, Vince Carter, that's the team they played against.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's beast of guys through.
Oh man, it's Sean Marks, the current GM for the Nets, also the big man for the Nets. That was on the Cal team with Tony. That's
Sean Marks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. Damn. I love seeing all these names, man. It's like it's like the world coming circle because he's Sean Marks, which was a rotational big in the league, and now he's a GM for the Nets. Mm-hmm. And Tony's got connects in front offices, man. Bezos and now Sean Marks at GM for the Nets. So with this episode today, so last week we dove in a little bit to the receivers. So last week's episode, we kind of talked about, the left tackle being a vacancy, then also future free agencies that we have with some of these guys, which a lot of people are kind of looking into. But this week, we're going to kind of dive into who are free agents and what the cap situation looks like with our O-linemen that are still on the roster. And we'll also look into some of the free agents that are out there who could be possible fill-ins if we don't end up drafting a left tackle, which some people are thinking we're going to do that because it's a very deep left tackle class, this draft class coming out, but it's also pretty deep tackle free agency class. But we'll get into that, seeing who we got out there as of right now. So dive in here. All right, so obviously, first off, our free agents, we have 3 guys who are free agents as far as O-linemen go. Donovan Smith kind of being the headliner of that. Obviously filled in did a pretty good job this year. Second half of the season when he came back from the injury, did awesome. Was great in the playoffs. Nick Allegretti, our guard, has been with us since the jump of the Mahomes era. He's a free agent. Obviously, he's got I haven't really heard about what kind of surgery he's going to get, but with the injury he has, that's Tommy John surgery. So, and that could range to be, 5 to 12 months based on different ranges of it. I remember last year when what's his name, when Purdy had the UCL injury, they were saying he was going to be out for the whole season. Came back by the time preseason came around, so it was like, oh, whoa, all right. So who knows if he goes to that same surgeon. And then our guy who you've been a huge fan of him, JD. It's our guy Prince Tega Wanogo, who honestly, without the injury bug, this guy could have been vying for starting tackle reps. I believe he tore his quad this year. He had a pretty bad injury during the season this year. He's a free agent now. Interesting to see what happens with him. I know we've been high on him. Our team has, so I don't know what's going to happen with him. What stands out to you with the 3 free agents that we have this year, JD, with these guys?
So what stands out? These guys, Donovan Smith was a good starter for us. I think he did a good job for us, a really good job. He's a starting left tackle in the NFL, no doubt. And so, trying to either replace him and get a guy here, knowing that we got Wanye Morris, is he developed enough to take that over? Is kind of the questions that we kind of looking at. My thing was Donovan signed a 1-year deal with us, the $3 million. Is it something that the Chiefs could try to sign long-term with Donovan for another couple of years? I think he did a pretty good job for us. Now, I keep saying that over and over again. Wanye came in and did a good job in the reserve role. The question is he ready? We know he's a big athletic kid. Still got to get better feet. Still probably has to get a little bit stronger. He can work all those things during the offseason. He should be, if he's not working on that stuff right now to become the starting left tackle, I don't know what else he's doing. I don't know as far as do you address that in the draft? I don't think it's a high priority for us. I think that's what you try to explore is either try to keep Donovan here or go all in on Wanye, right? And then see who you got, that could possibly back up. That's the question. I like Prince, Tega Wanu, the Prince. He was a guy that I thought was going to come in and actually take over at the left tackle position because he's another athletic guy. Played at Auburn, was up with Philly for a little bit, and ended coming out here to Kansas City. I was like, man, that's great. Yahoo! We got this guy. And like you said, injury bug hits him, and it's just like one of those things, man. It's just for whatever reason doesn't pan out. Guys keep having injuries here and there, just setbacks. But I like his size. I like his, his grit, everything about him. Looked good in college, looked good when he would come in, some of the plays, man. I mean, daggone. So from these three guys, and then, of course, Nick, it's unfortunate, man, this happened with his elbow. But he was a solid backup for us. Solid backup for us. So I don't know how long that's going to take. Will he be able to report at the beginning of camp for us? Possibly. I don't know. Will he be able to do it at least before the season? If he does, he keeps his speed and stuff, I think he'll be fine. But he is a free agent. You want to keep a guy like that here. I think Nick Allegretti is a guy that is a staple here in Kansas City that, he wants to probably end his career here. And I would look to try to make something like that happen. Especially, you still know you got Joe, Tooney. And so with Joe, maybe a restructure is coming for him to get more money back. That's another question. But from these three guys that I'm looking at right here, all three guys can help us. All three guys, I think, are good players. I like all of them on the roster. I do. I like all three guys on the roster. So that's what I see. That's what stands out for me.
Well, the thing about Prince, which is so interesting, and obviously the injury bugs is terrible when guys continually to get different injuries. But Prince, week 3, that Bears game, Juwan, we're killing them, but we pulled Juwan Taylor, and I remember everyone's like, "Whoa, what's going on here? Juwan got pulled. What happened? What happened?" And Prince comes in there, looks pretty damn good, and then Juwan goes back in there, like, I wonder why that is. And then it's like, oh wait, Prince got hurt in that game. It was kind of one of those quiet things that we didn't really know what it was, and he tore his quadriceps in that game. And there was a chance he almost made it back for the Super Bowl, but then I believe they ruled him out shortly before the Super Bowl. But man, yeah, and the one thing I will say with Allegretti and Prince specifically, I don't know what Donovan Smith, how he's going to break the bank this year. Based on PFF's numbers, we'll get into the available guys, but I don't know if Prince and Allegretti are going to break the bank, and if they, depending on what their injury status is, how long it's going to take, we may be able to get a discount on them because and I'll tell you what about Allegretti, which is so disappointing for him. He was playing so well that I think that he probably would be able to price out of what we probably pay from another team that saw him, like kind of what Wiley did with us last year. Wiley looked good, got a 3-year, $24 million deal from the Commanders, and then boom, he left. Allegretti was probably trending towards that way with the way he dominated in the back half of the playoffs. And then Prince with the quadricep injury, I don't know. I feel like we could be able to get him at a very cheap price, kind of thing. And I don't know what that is, but he's proven when he does get playing time, it's the being able to stay on the field, which we also have that same kind of thing with Niang, who's also still in the roster. So it's like, yeah. But Donovan Smith, I don't know. Do you think Donovan Smith, based on if you were GM and based on what you saw this year, do you think because that was the whole thing. He signed a 1-year deal with us to kind of prove it because he wanted a bigger contract and he didn't end up getting it, signs with Kansas City. Do you think he did enough as far as to get a bigger contract than what he got last year with us?
I do. I think so. Absolutely. If you're a starting left tackle here in the NFL, you should have, you're protecting the most valuable man in the NFL too. So let's not forget that. What that translates into as far as contract, I'm not sure, right? Because we know we're going to have some constraints on far as trying to sign guys. My thing is, could you sign Donovan Smith to maybe, let's just say you give him double of what he was making, $6 million a year. Okay. All right. Do it for 3 years. I think that's something that's doable. Okay. $67 million, especially if he's not getting bites from other teams. I don't know. Other teams may be like, hey man, look, we want to pay you 10 to 12. Right. And he has every right to go if he's getting those type of bites and those type of opportunities, then I think he has to explore those things. I think he'll do the right thing for that. Like you said, he already has 2 Super Bowl rings. I think he enjoyed playing here. He looked natural, but he definitely deserves a bigger payday. then what did we got? We got him at a good bargain, man, for $3 million.
We did.
Does that mean that some of that? So here's the possibilities. There's talk and conversation that they may try to restructure Juwan too, right? So that might be a thing that that you can do to bring some of that money. We know you got Joe and you got Juwan both making good money. Okay, you want to try to keep that line together as much as possible, and that left tackle is pivotal. It is pivotal to our success. Unless you just think Wanye can handle it. If you think Wanye can handle it, and then you say, hey, look, let's bring Prince back, then so be it. But those decisions are very, you got to work through this, comb this really, really well. You know what I mean? Because you got to flesh this out, man. It ain't like, hey, see you later, we appreciate it. It doesn't happen like that with tackle, especially left tackle, protecting Patrick's blind side. And so I think I had this conversation with somebody was talking about left tackle, right tackles, like nobody thinks like I said, look, man, it is a difference. And so, the blind side is still the blind side. Right tackles are getting up there to make almost what left tackles are making, right? Because of just the pass rushers you had to go against, okay? And so what they started doing is they started taking their best pass rusher and putting it against our right tackles because we knew that left tackle was our best tackle.
Yep. So
they was like, well, shoot, we need a good caliber right tackle just like we do left. But I do believe, the blind side is one of the things because you just can't see it. And so you got to have a guy that's, premier guy protecting Patrick Mahomes' blind side. Yep. But he did a good job, man, of just seeing things all around him anyway. He's got, spatial awareness, out the wazoo. But you got to make sure. Yeah, man. You got to have, like I said, a capable guy for sure. I like Donovan. I'm gonna keep saying that. I would try to find something to get Donovan here for a long-term deal. That's me.
So I remember last year during the draft. I remember what we were trying to trade up to get a left tackle. I remember I think we wanted Anton Harrison. We also wanted the dude from the Pittsburgh ended up drafting the dude from Georgia. I forgot his name. But I remember we wanted both those guys. Didn't get them. Then we wait till round 3 to get Wanye. Now it's a very deep tackle draft class. Let's say we do get the left tackle, and based on what we've seen, besides Wanye stepping in this year, Mahomes has primarily had veteran guys be his left tackle. He's never really had to go into the season with a rookie left tackle. Now, is this something that would be interesting? Like, would you be surprised if they say, screw it, we're not going to go get Donovan, we're not going to go get Tyron Smiths of the world or the Trent Browns of the world on the left free agency. We're just going to go with the rookie. Would that be shocking to you if we don't bring in a veteran left tackle?
It would be shocking, especially if obviously left tackles asking for a lot of money. And if you just ask them to break the bank, man, we just ain't got the bank to break it for. We got other guys we need to break the bank for. So that's the reality of it. That's the reality of the Chiefs in their situation at this moment. Okay, trying to play, rob Peter, play, pay Paul. That's what we need to do. We got to get a little bit over here, a little over here, a little over here, to make sure our guys on the defensive side are good. But we know for a fact our left tackle's got to be a priority for us. Can you draft a guy? And it's always that question. Can you bring a rookie in and him doing a good job? He has to be one of the top, I'm telling you, first round picks, top 20 type of guys, like a no-miss guy. And we thought it was pretty deep last year with tackles. And I'm not sure how guys did and how they fared out last year for the guys that got drafted. I'm not even sure. But I know it's still a task that you had to take to at least keep adjusting to try to get into the NFL. It's going to take some time.
Yeah.
Wanye Morris, to me, because he's had that year under his belt, is a better option than getting a guy as a rookie coming in. You know what I mean? Like, I would take Wanye Morris because now he's got experience. He's played against the best. So, why not keep developing this guy if that's going to be the case, as opposed to getting another rookie and say, he's going to be a starting guy.
Yeah.
I don't see anybody like that who's going to come in is just going to be lights out, Hall of Famer from the very beginning. okay, that's going to be better than Wanye Morris, at least in my estimation. Maybe I need to do a much deeper dive into the tackle position, left tackle in college, who's going to be drafted. So,
yeah, I was just kind of doing a brief research on, and they were saying that the things that when I made the connection, the things that this draft's deep in are the kind of the needs of our squad, which is the offensive tackles, the receivers, D tackles, all through those positions we can definitely dabble in, but
it's Marcus. These things I know. We so guys that we know we know Donovan Smith. We played for a year. We have Wanye, who played for us in a year. Prince and then had for a couple of years. We know these guys. These guys coming out of college is always it's a gamble. It's a gamble. You never know, man. Go ahead, brother.
No, I will say though with Veach, so far, I know we love how he's found value in late round picks with the draft, the Trey Smiths of the world, the Creed Humphreys of the world. I mean, he has done a good job drafting late round linemen. Not saying that we're gonna, put our fortunes on a late round left tackle, which that's kind of what Wanye Morris is, and the thing that you and I were kind of skeptical on with Wanye. Yeah, he's got a year under his belt where he's played primarily left tackle for a few games when Donovan went down. But he wasn't really a full-on left tackle. He was a right tackle, left tackle, right tackle, left tackle when he was in college. So it was like we didn't really lock down the left tackle kind of guy in the draft because all the left tackles were going by the time it got to our pick. So we really didn't get a kind of this full-on left tackle type of guy. Maybe this is what we go for this year. I mean, I don't know, but the fact that it just seems weird to me that we would would kind of rest our laurels with a rookie left tackle to block for Pat's blindside, as you mentioned. It's a very important position.
Yeah, I think at least for me, Wanye Morris has been here, and you solidified him being a left tackle. That's his position. Let him play that position. Let him develop. You got an offseason. You got training camp all ready to come in for the start of the season, for the year. So I would just develop him more so. Try to get a guy, into the draft. Use your draft picks for something else. I see a need. Wide receiver, we talked about that. Wide receiver. I see a need at defensive tackle besides Chris Jones.
Yeah,
get a guy in here. Another pass rusher doesn't hurt. Get a guy here. We talked about running back. We talked about maybe a tight end. Okay, finding some guys, and so I think there's other needs there that you need to kind of look and explore to see what else you get. So especially if you got guys in the building. If you got guys in the building like Wanye Morris, and maybe try to talk Donovan to stay in there for another year and get Prince, go that route.
So based on what your priority, you're saying Donovan. Try to get Donovan. If that doesn't work out, then just stick with Wanye instead of drafting a first-round rookie left tackle. That's what you do.
That's what I would do. That's exactly what I would do.
Yeah.
But that's me. That's one man's opinion. I don't know. Shoot. So hey,
we value. Everyone in the chat can agree. We value your opinion very much, buddy.
I appreciate it, man. I know a little bit of what I'm talking about.
You do.
I know the development of it when it comes in, as far as tackles and the time it takes for guys to be, be ready.
Mm-hmm.
I like Wanye Morris because he does have a year playing, and he's going against some of the best pass rushers out there, and he's known it. He's seen them, so it's good. It's good for him. It's good for him.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Donovan Smith's the only question mark there as far as the money, because we're talking about penny pinching this offseason with trying to keep our other guys in. But I wouldn't be surprised if Allegretti and Prince are back on the squad. We'll see what happens with their recovery and their offseason timeline. But I wouldn't be surprised if those two. And then, all eyes will be on, I guess, to a lesser extent. We got Chris Jones, L'Jarius Sneed watch, and then Donovan Smith watch. A little bit below those two.
Yeah. And I think, it's a price, right? That's what we're looking for. What is Donovan price tag? Okay. What is his price tag?
Yeah. 1 year. We got him at 1 year, $3 million last year. What a steal.
Yeah. I mean, he's a 30-year-old guy. So
JD, we have a question from our guy HVHY. I guess talking about maybe what your thoughts are as far as what you're looking for, be it draft or veteran guys. What are the things you're looking for in a lineman?
Definitely has to be all three of those: size, technique, speed, more quickness. That you want more athletic ability. You want to make sure his, from the hips, his power from his hips. If he's able to kind of, project out, striking guys, hand placement, knowledge of the game. But without a doubt, your feet's got to be, you almost have to have ballerina feet, just athletic. And so that anchor is so important, especially for tackles and offensive linemen. Leverage, guys to play with great leverage, great hand placement, strength. You got to have strength. Strength is important. It's key. You especially want to stifle a pass rush. If you got a guy who's got a heart punch, to take somebody's heart out, boom, that's what you want to be able to see. That's what it is. That strike, you got to be able to have that strike hand placement. You don't want a guy to be out here, you want a guy to be inside. How close is he inside? But without a doubt, his relationship when he's in his, pass blocking, how good is he? Can he when a guy's who has speed, can he adjust to a speed guy, bull rush guy? How does he do? How does he play? Does he play up high? Does he get over his toes too much? So there's a lot to look in right there, my guy. But yeah, those are all the good things. If you take it all, that's a lot that you look for alignment. I'm writing these things down. I'm checking the boxes. Okay. From the things I checked out, Wanye has size, he has athletic ability. His hands got to get better. He's got to get stronger. His feet got to get quicker than what they were. These are things that he can improve through the offseason. But I think he looks good. He looks good. I seen flashes that are like, okay, this guy right here could definitely be a starter here in the NFL. And then when you see him go up against a guy who's crafty like, Crosby and the other guy, then it's like, oh, okay. We see, the drop off. All right. And them jokers is like they was tag teaming like, man, let me get a turn at him. Let me get a turn over there. And you don't want to see that. You don't want to see guys tag teaming like it's WWE over there. But I think Wanye has all that ability in him. He starts developing that, man. I think he's gonna be fine. I think the coach has seen that in him, and I like it. I like that about him. But I need to see the strength. I need to see same thing, not playing too high, be able to get out of his stance a little bit faster, and able to readjust. There's another thing. Crosby beat him on the inside. He didn't adjust real well coming back on the inside. You got to be able to feel that push and come back on guys. So,
yeah, and I think we both agree. We both trust our offensive line coaching. They've done wonders with so many different guys throughout the years. So Andy Heck's done an amazing job. Shout out Northern Virginia, my high school alumni, Andy Heck. That's my guy.
There we go. Heck. Here we go.
So yeah. If Wanye, if they think, that's one thing too. Everyone says don't question Veach. Yeah, we're going to question it. Sometimes you have to question. But if they do feel like, and definitely Pat's a part of this conversation too. If they feel that Wanye is good enough to be the left tackle this year or the future, then I trust it. Because that's one thing. People talk. They say, oh, they're getting Pat input on this with receivers, with skill players, all that stuff. But first and foremost, everyone saw us get teed off on that Tampa Bay game. Ever since then, it's like, okay, we need to be very cognizant of what we do in the O-line. That offseason, we've got Creed, we got Trey, and then last year we get Juwan, and then this year, are we going to stick with Wanye? We'll see. And then I think Pat's going to be very vocal about if they need to bring back Donovan or if they're confident enough to stick with Wanye. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens.
Well, I'll tell you this. I think it couldn't have been a better scenario for us than Donovan Smith getting hurt, right? unfortunately him getting hurt, but it was able to propel Wanye forward to see what he can do in games. And so he it boded well for us because it's like, okay, this kid can shoot. He's got some game to it. Play really well. He's physical. We've seen him coming out physical. That's him watching Donovan. He's watching. Like in practice, I guarantee Heck can sit there like, look, you watch how when we mauling guys, watch how Donovan and those guys are mauling guys. That's how you need to play. And so that's the best scenario for Wanye to come in and learn behind a veteran guy like Donovan Smith, who had every potential to be one of the top left tackles in the league, right? He got hurt. So
and I feel like the play calling, because we kind of, after that December game, that Raider game, that's when we kind of honed in and went this more ball control, balanced offensive approach, which I think if we had that kind of offense with Wanye there at left tackle, I think we wouldn't be even right now. We'd be saying, "Oh yeah, we got our left tackle." I feel like the offense we had, because we were still trying to, kind of not really having much of a flow to it, not really committing to the run. I feel like at that point we're like, "Oh man, like of course, I mean it's the rookie getting beat here because we're throwing the ball 50 times and not really having a flow to the offense." And when Donovan came back, that's when they kind of committed to that run, in the playoffs and stuff. So I think with the offensive approach that we had, I don't think it was beneficial to what Wanye was at that point in time.
I mean, that's definitely a conversation there for that. I had to go back and see. For me, even if Wanye had played well up until then, when Donovan had gotten well, I would have put Donovan back in the game. That's what I would have done. So I don't know if I would have been like, okay, Wanye's playing too good, unless he was just lights out, just killing people, and he just looked like this dude has no reason to be on the sideline whatsoever, right?
Yeah.
I just seen some, obviously with him coming in, a little deficiencies in some of his technique, his feet, those things of that nature. That was just like, oh, okay. Like he looked good for the little sample size we had.
Yeah.
Is he ready? I don't know. Can he carry that long? But I am more confident in him doing it now after him playing this year, no doubt. So they might agree with that too, Marcus. So
especially if it saves him a few coins there too.
yeah, you ain't never lie about that. You know how it goes.
You were also so spot on with that, because I remember at the time when Donovan was coming back, I remember there were some fans who were saying, we're not going to go far anyway. Like, let's just take our lumps with Wanye, let him finish out the season as the left tackle. And you were like, no, when Donovan comes back, he's going to be the guy. And then what happened?
Absolutely.
Well, no taking our lumps, because we got that ring.
Right.
I've
done this a time or two. So
what's that?
I said I've done this a time or two. I used to be an offensive line coach, man. All my guys went to college, and then JD knows a little bit of what he's talking about now. Okay,
Your stuff, yeah. And it's not just limited to the O-line stuff, JD, because you were one of the few. I honestly, maybe the only voice that was saying, "Hold up, give MVS's earn credence, guys. Just relax a little bit here." And what happened? I think we all know what happened in the playoffs.
Yeah. We had a conversation. I'm gonna tell my guys. We had a conversation. Go ahead, man. We were just having a conversation because Barbershop was like, man, I guess he took one of our tweets or something and he showed it to us all our boys in the talk. Man, JD was like, yo. I was like, yeah. I was like, yeah. The worst thing you possibly do is you could have set him and not do anything with MVS. That was the worst thing you do with a guy who's catching the football, right?
Mm-hmm.
Lose confidence. That'd have been the worst thing that could possibly do against a guy like that. So,
and you found the silver lining, because you were talking about, you can't bench him with the way we're running the ball. He's the only one who actually blocks out there. And then, they never benched him. They kept him in there, and then they never benched him. And for whatever reason, with running his blocking ability or whatnot, he's still stuck in there and did his thing throughout the playoffs. So.
Slowly developing the confidence back, man. Slowly developing it back, right? And it takes time. And if I can give you something else you can do that you can feel good about, beautiful, right?
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. And then maybe that grows and that will, trigger something else of getting better confidently about doing something. And so, yeah, no doubt about it. So
All right, so we're gonna go to our current offensive line right now. These are guys who are under contract for this coming season, and JD made mention of maybe restructures coming for a few of the guys on this O line. But this is the cap hit from a few of the guys here, and I also from our starting linemen, I've also listed as to how long they're under contract for. So we got start off with guard Joe Tooney, $26.9 million cap hit, and he restructured last year. But he won't be a free. He'll be on the team for 2 more years. So not next offseason, the following offseason, he'll be a free agent. Jawan Taylor, $24.7 million cap hit. His dead cap is like beyond that. It's like 30-something million. So I don't know if that's going to happen. Restricted free agent in 2027. So 3 more years of Jawan Taylor. Now, Creed Humphrey, this is where we get into the nitty gritty here. So Creed Humphrey, $1.7 million cap hit, free agent next year. So this is his last year in Kansas City, unless they get a deal done. Our guy Lucas Niang, some people thought he was going to be the tackle of the future in Kansas City. $1.3 million. He's a free agent next year. Wanye, he's going to be up in 3 years, so $1.2 million. Not really much there. Trey Smith, $1 million. That's a steal. Unrestricted free agent next year, so that's another one that they got to maybe think about. Long-term deals coming here. And then we got tackle. Can't pronounce his first name, but last name's Godric. He's one of these future. I think he's one of these future guys. NFL International kind of project. Not really making much. He's free agent next year. And then we got Mike Caliendo, who is an exclusive rights free agent this year, but based on what I've read, he's probably gonna be kept around as an exclusive rights guy. Not really making much, about $750K. So JD, when you look at this, obviously you got the big numbers here of Joe Tooney and Jawan Taylor that stand out to you. Do you think that's where a lot of it's going to have to come from in order to extend guys like Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith? We're going to need to kind of, I don't know, restructure some of these big deals we have here, because Tooney and Taylor, man, that's a big part of the cap here.
That's big. That's big, boy. That's a big chunk right there. That is without a doubt where some of that had to come from, without a doubt. So, and I don't think those guys will have an issue with it. I don't think they'll have a problem. At least I don't perceive them having a problem. The team obviously with Taylor were like, hey, look, man, we expected this, we didn't get that because of some of the penalties and whatnot. I'm sure they'll try to justify the cap hit being a little bit less than that. Same with Tooney, 26.9 milli. Woo! Goodness gracious, Lord have mercy. Woo! But he's been playing great ball, man. He's a great guard. That injury changes things for him. So they'll probably restructure him for sure. Maybe try to get about $6 million back from him, 6 or 7.
So you tore your pick. So for some of the listeners and viewers who didn't know when we talked about it, when he had this initial pec injury, you actually tore your pec. So, and I don't know, they've been very hush hush of what the injury was, and based on him missing 3 weeks, I think it was. We could say it was a torn pry pec, whatever severity of it was. But did you feel like you played through it, obviously, which is just that's JD for you. But did you feel kind of ramifications of not ramifications, but residual effects of the pec injury, throughout, continuing to play? Would you still feel residuals from having the initial pec tear?
I mean, it was pain. And what I did was, and I don't know, because you had to think about, as far as pectoral, what part of the pec did he tear, or what was hurt? What did he strain? Mine was up here in the tight top left quadrant, I guess. And I tore that part from the bone. And like I said, probably, 50% of it, 60, like I said, still have a divot. The pain was the residual effect of that, but I was restricted because I had a harness that would keep me from going back. That was where the touchy part of it was, because I didn't want to extend it to the point where I tore it fully from the bone. And then I had to necessarily have surgery. So I was restricted from how far I could go back. but it was good because I still have range to do particular things. I just couldn't go back this far. You start doing that, then it's a whole different thing. I don't know where Tooney had his. That's what kind of made me question, like, okay, he's out for 3 weeks. Like, what's going on? Like, they may have thought it was bad enough where he may have to have surgery. Because a strain, I think a strain, it depends on where, like I said, where it was at. I don't know. That was kind of, I assume he was coming back. Especially if they put him on RR. They didn't say, surgery was needed. I assumed that he was coming back. And so maybe it was just so uncomfortable for him, or maybe they didn't want to put him in jeopardy and they didn't want to say anything and just kind of let it linger for a little bit. Like, hey, maybe he can, maybe he can't. And so kind of left it up to him.
And they ruled him out so early too. That the week of the Super Bowl it was like Monday or Tuesday. It was like, yeah, it's not looking good for him. It's like, okay, yeah, he's not playing. So I mean, yeah. But is that injury? Because obviously, when a guy tears the ACL, MCL, front office can use it. Like, hey, man, can restructure. This is coming back from a really brutal injury. Is that the type of injury where they can say like, hey, coming off a really bad injury? Like, I mean, it's a torn pec, but obviously we don't know where it is in the pec to say,
Right. Yeah. So it's the muscle, tears. It can be significant or strain, or however they want to, fiber strain or tears. They call those strains. I have no idea what part of the pec it was. Like I said, I know where mine was, and I've seen other guys who have torn pecs and other things of that nature. Still come out and play. Like I said, same thing with a harness. When I spoke to the doctor, the team doctors, and was talking to him, what all my options were. And, it went from, hey, we're thinking about having surgery to, hey, you want to wear a harness. And I was opposed to like having surgery. I was like, I don't want to go under the knife if I don't have to. And so there was like an option, like, hey, some guys, if they have 50% torn or whatever, we might have to go to the knife to pull the muscle back out and attach it back. That's a possibility. And I didn't feel like doing that. I was like, so what's the other options? And so the other option was try to let it heal on itself, wear a harness to still play. And that's what I opted to do. That kind of shocked me a little bit about Tooney. Shocked me a little bit.
Yeah. So one of the biggest talks, obviously the biggest talk of the free agency, we've mentioned it. Chris Jones, L'Jarius Sneed, that's going to be the kickoff to everything. But a lot of people are talking about the extension aspect of guys like Creed Humphrey, of Trey Smith, even guys on defensively. Talk about Nick Bolton possibly getting an extension this offseason. So that's how good of rookie classes we've struck on the last few years. But when we look at Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith, obviously the hope is they can extend both these guys and keep them. Of the two, between Trey Smith and Creed Humphrey, who do you see has more of an importance on the O-line? Who would be a harder guy to replace between a Creed Humphrey or Trey Smith type?
Oh, man. Maybe Creed. Creed, because he's making all the calls. That's one thing you have to take into account. Finding a good center, man, it's very important because you snap the football. All right, you got to make the calls, set the defense, and then you're playing all everywhere around you. You got both guards, their jobs. So you got some heavy-handed guys inside that you got to be able to get. I think you could possibly find good guards in the league, because you have two guys on outside and inside of you. The center does, but he's got a little different duty. I would say that would be the hardest thing. We're probably trying to get Creed, somebody like that here. Trey is as valuable as Creed is for what we do, and trying to find a guy that can do what Trey does. Maybe an easier task. So that's my assessment. If I had to take two, if I'm looking at the two different guys, Marcus, Yeah, probably Creed would be probably the harder guy to substitute for.
Yeah.
Place.
We've had luck with centers over the last. I mean, we've literally gone from last few years, gone from Rodney Hudson to Mitch Morse to Creed Humphrey, essentially, and that's pretty much been the last three guys that we've had here in this room, which has been awesome to go from those three guys. Now, talk about Trey Smith, and so obviously Juwan Taylor's had issues and whatnot this year with the holdings, the false starts, but having Trey Smith with them, I think, would you say maybe covered up some other deficiencies that Juwan Taylor may have had, having Trey Smith with them? And that's also something too. It's like, yeah, we're paying Juwan Taylor all this money, but like we're getting rid of possibly one of the best guards in the game at Trey Smith. I mean, that's what kind of Juwan Taylor we're going to get in the post Trey Smith era too. That's over me, which I'm kind of scared about that potential.
No, I didn't really see anything as far as covering up any deficiencies from Juwan. I think Juwan did a pretty decent job. He held his own on that out there. Obviously, the holding call and him being off sides, and part of that was like I explained to people. Well, part of it is because Trey was lining up in the backfield, further back.
Mm-hmm.
Trey was at times my assessment. As an O-line coach, there were times that Trey's first year to me, and not as much this year, but he would get pushed back, so he would lose ground. You got to set the depth of the pocket at guard. And Trey would get pushed back sometimes at guard. So those were things that would, in my head, I would look at. Obviously, some of the twists that were happening, passing off guys, being on the same level is another thing that teams try to do to get guys off, expose them a little bit. Not saying that we had a huge problem with that. But in some games it would show up that I would see. But as far as like the Trey cover for some of Juwan's deficiency, I didn't really see too much of that. I didn't. I think Juwan he's a very athletic tackle. I think he's a good tackle. His problem is, the penalties.
Yeah,
that was the problem. Other than that, man, he did a good job for us. So,
yeah. Yeah, I was just one thing I wanted to ask, just because having a special talent at right guard that can help, maybe possibly if a right tackle has any deficiencies, you maybe haven't helped there, but you didn't see anything. Then I trust you.
I didn't see anything that I was just like, oh wow, Trey's should look it out for this guy, right? I didn't see too much of that, but so I will say, and I haven't said this to a lot. But we've seen at times how many times the guys were getting help. We were still getting chips and stuff like that for tackles.
Yeah,
people just didn't think that was possible when we had OBJ and Wiley here. Well, we don't need guys to get chips. Yeah, you do. I don't care who it is. Everybody needs to get a chip. Everybody, and even if they're not expecting it, you're going to get it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
That's just part of the deal. You want to help guys out. Sure. If you ain't getting a chip, I'll be looking back like, hey, man, you see some ribs, you hit this sucker. You hit him as hard as you can. Take a couple plays out of him. Mm-hmm. So I just I think some of those things are kind of funny. When I hear people say things like that. But our O-line overall did a great job for us. They did a great job for us last year. That's why I was like, man, I'd like to see Donovan here for another year. Wanya will be able to come in and take that without a doubt. But
yeah, and then, money, what's that?
But that money, you still got the money. Woo-wee! 26 lead 24/7.
I mean, JD, you can literally take from Caliendo all the way up to Humphrey, and none of those guys even get close to what either one of those guys are making.
Man, yeah. And here's the thing, though. You was talking about some of these guys are like talking about, look, all the guys are going to be unrestricted free agents next year. I wouldn't even touch having a conversation on signing to these guys. Not at all. You don't have to. You don't have to say nothing to these guys.
Yeah.
You don't guarantee it. What do you mean? Hey, man, you play because We drafted you. Hello, that's what's going to happen. So you stick with us. Okay, we got the rights to you.
Do you anticipate either one of those between Creed or Trey getting a extension this year? Do you anticipate that? No.
I don't see it. Or Bolton either. I don't see any of those guys getting extensions right now. Hey, after this year's over, then we'll have conversation. We'll talk and all of that. But right now, hey, play your position.
Mm-hmm.
Play your part, man. Play your
and
part.
If you see, and another question to that, if you see any of those things happen before Chris Jones or L'Jarius Sneed, is that a sign that's not things aren't the conversations aren't going well?
Yeah, you could definitely say that might indication, especially if you ain't got money already tied in and you don't know what you're gonna do. Shoot, ain't might like, hey man, what we doing? What's going on? As the conversation stalled again. I don't know. I'm just talking about with Chris.
Right.
I think, these next couple of weeks, man, it's gonna be something else. It's gonna be something else.
Yeah. If I were to make a bet, I would say the next 2 to 3 weeks we'll have something done with either one of those guys. I think this week at the combine, I think it's gonna be a very pivotal week for a lot of teams, but specifically our guys and just trying to either ink up or tag Sneed or Chris Jones.
Yeah. Definitely.
But all right, guys. So that brings us to the end of our episode here. JD, it was awesome diving in on these big contracts that the offensive linemen have on the squad. People think of big contracts, think of the skill players. No. Our offensive line is getting taken care of. They're getting paid good money.
So get broke off, man. A couple jokers up there get broke out really well. Well. So I ain't got no problem with it. I ain't got no problem with it whatsoever. The thing is, when we talking about trying to get other guys in here, it had to be some concession. Those guys made to make concession, get some other guys to keep guys here. So
yeah,
these guys get it right. They'll get it right.
Yeah, I will say, looking at Chris Jones and the last year at this time, I feel like it began with the kind of the troll type comments where he was saying stuff that people are like, oh man, is he gone? Like, is it done? He's changed his profile picture on Twitter, his Twitter picture, him in a Chiefs helmet, and then he's liking stuff on Twitter of us potentially going after OBJ. It's like, okay, I don't know. He's playing a part of it. Maybe things aren't going well. Maybe he wasn't just drunk at the parade when he said what he said. Maybe that there was a little bit of framework going on. So I'm optimistic about getting something done with Chris Jones. Maybe that's just me being hopeful, but I hope there is something to it.
So they talk about trying to go after OBJ.
Who was it? Was it Robert Griffin? Someone online, one of the ESPN expert guys were saying the Chiefs need to go after. I think it was RG3. He said they should go after OBJ this offseason. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's my first choice of a receiver wise.
Tyler Lockett. How about that?
Seattle needs to let him go, and then we'll pounce on that.
Let him go, man. We'll talk him into it. We'll twist some arms and everything. And say, look, man, we'll make it a sweet deal. What we need to do. Okay?
We'll get his father on the show and have him and convince him that way.
Yeah.
But all right, guys. Well, that does it for us. We'll see you guys Wednesday night as we dive into some more stuff that's going on this offseason, because already it's been kind of a crazy offseason. Just before this, I'll give you a little tease ahead to what we're going to talk about Wednesday. But Charles Omenihu wants more money. I saw that right before I came on. I was like, oh man, that's gonna be a good Wednesday show. But yeah, decisions. All right, guys. We hope you guys enjoyed the episode. We'll see you guys Wednesday night. Love you, everybody.
Guys, love you too, Marcus. See y'all later.
See you, everybody. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else